Hi, everybody. It's
Hi.
Joyce Ross here and Patricia Connor. We're the co-founders of Kindness is Key Training and Publishing, and we're also the people putting on the webinar. And tonight's going to be an exciting night. We
Special
have
night.
guest speakers, and actually from you guys. You're the ones who are coming on to talk, and the idea of that is so you can get used to being on a webinar. And Patricia, we forgot to change our lighting.
Yeah.
So you're going to get to talk for a second while I change the lighting.
Do we look different to you?
Yeah, whiter.
Anyway, there's lots of people on, so I'm happy to see that. And yeah, that's much better. I think it is. Hold on a second.
We'll see how white I am. It's really hard because, oh no, that's not working for me. She has dark hair and I have light hair. So we have a heck of a time with the camera. But anyways, it's okay.
I know why, because this thing was in front of it, Joy. This thing here.
Okay, how's that?
It's better, but we're still pretty white. Anyway.
Oh, well, we'll just have to be really, really white tonight. I'll be really white. You're fine.
Yay, Shannon got in.
Yay, Shannon. Okay.
Okay, so we're going to do something a little bit different, and we asked for people that would be willing to come on the webinar, and we got a great response, so thank you very much. And I think most of you are here, so welcome everyone.
Welcome.
And you know what? I really loved the way that Joy asked you guys to ask do the 3 facts. I think that's so much fun. Where did that come from, Joy?
From you. Is that what you're trying to get me to say?
Thank you very much.
And where'd you get it?
I think it was one of the trainings that I went to for the passion test. Yeah.
Yeah,
it was lots of fun.
I think it was. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're going to have the guests, and we're also going to talk about self-publishing. And the reason for that is last week we asked you to send us in some questions and what you wanted us to talk about. And a few of you sent in, please tell us a bit more about the publishing aspect of writing. So we're going to do that. I originally intended to teach you about that towards webinar number 9 and 10. But, you know, I can't just say you have to wait. So we'll tell you tonight a little bit. We can't go into it totally because we have our guest presenters and we have to make sure they get enough time. But we will start talking about it tonight.
Okay. So are we going to start with our guests?
No, we're going to start with some homework.
Okay. I'm so excited about having guests on that.
Now, Oceana Rivers is on there, correct?
Oceana, are you there?
Is she there yet?
Not yet.
Oh, well, she'll have to catch it in the replay if she's not on. Oceana did the eavesdropping exercise from lesson number 1. Where she went to a restaurant, and I've always wanted to read it because it was really kind of wonderful. So here goes. So this is like, no, I'm lying.
You are?
Yes, I am. It's not the eavesdropping exercise. It's actually her scene writing exercise. Sorry.
Okay.
I had the other one out, but I decided to go with this one. So this is her scene writing. So this is from Oceana Rivers. The crisp March night air bitterly bit at my cheeks as I walked along the snow-covered boardwalk. The big, fluffy snowflakes freely falling without care to the fact that spring was only days away. In this moment, there was no thought to budding leaves and warmer days, just the cold snap of winter freezing my tears to my face as I tried without success to figure out another. Reaching the end of the boardwalk, contemplating whether to sneak inside or continue on my walk, I looked up into the night sky and froze with speechless awe. I love that. Speechless awe. Falling toward me was the most beautiful snowflake I'd ever seen. The crystallized sides, clearly defined and perfect in every way. Why can't I be as defined as perfect? What is it going to take for me to work through the barriers and move forward in my life? I can't keep spinning my wheels and hoping to move. I need some help. Damn my pride. If only I could ask. I felt the sharp edge of the snowflake on the tip of my nose before I focused on it. Crossing my eyes to bring into focus the perfect crystal of snow, I felt myself meld away. My body left somewhere on the earth plane and my spirit melding together with that of the single snowflake. The blinding white light surrounding and protecting the entity I had just become. I could no longer feel the cold, hear the voices that whispered in the winter's night. I could no longer see a snowflake, only the white light. I no longer existed. Where am I? Look past yourself and let go, whispered the response. In that moment, I truly let go. In that moment, I realized it was ego that kept me separate from another. It was my own desire to be seen as special that held me hostage behind brick walls. When in perfect connection, there is no separation of me or another. We both cease to exist because we are one another. We are all source, all light. We're all perfectly imperfect. I love that last line. We are all perfectly imperfect. So, Oceana, thank you for sharing that with us. That was, and you know what, Patricia, I'm so proud because of these students or webinar participants, because almost everybody sent in their homework.
I know, isn't that great?
On scene writing.
Yeah.
I know.
That
Really,
was
really
excellent.
impressive. And Margie, or Maggie, I don't know how to say your last name, Maggie, sorry. It's a Polish name, I think, so maybe you'd be better at that. You're married to a Polish man.
We'll call my husband down and see.
We'll get him here later.
Yeah.
She did such a fun thing, and I'm going to see if I can show it to the camera or not, but do you remember when we had the scene writing exercise that we handed out, and in the scene writing exercise I had color coded it? Well, what Maggie did is that she actually used the color coding and tried to fill in different pieces. Now, one of the questions Maggie had was she wasn't really sure what was description and what was this and what was that. It doesn't really matter. You can't really mess that up. Just do it your best to put in the description and appeal to the senses. It doesn't matter if you follow my format exactly. That's just not that important. But she did it all in color. So you're dying to say something. So before I go on, you go ahead.
No, I'm fine.
You're good?
Yeah.
So it was, it's really good. So I'm going to write that. Getting any response from anybody on the first story?
Yes. Great job.
Yeah, wasn't it?
Awesome work.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Yeah. Gail's having trouble connecting. I think she's tried to reconnect. I think Oceana is in.
Yeah,
she got
Oceana.
it. Yeah.
Good.
That's about it. And we have a couple of hands up. So
a couple hands up. Good. So I'm just.
Maggie is there. Maggie's there.
Yay, Maggie. So Maggie, we're reading your story. So in her scene writing exercise, and I know some of you sent them to me today, but it was kind of hard to get ready for the webinar and read and respond to all my emails. So those of you who sent your scenes in that I haven't responded to yet, don't worry, I'm going to do that tomorrow, and we'll read some of them next week on the webinar. So thank you, thank you, thank you for doing your homework. So here's from Maggie. An hour passed and I was finally making my decision. My springtime visit to the sunny yet still chilly London brought me back to Camden Market's enchanting gargoyle store. And she sent us a picture of a gargoyle. I thought that was kind of fun. There's a gargoyle, but I don't know if you'll be able to see it on there. That was kind of neat. Thanks, Maggie, for doing that. Bewitching gargoyles draped the full length of each wall and hovered over me from the low ceiling, enticing me with their untold stories. Sometimes I cave on my resolve to avoid impractical dust collectors and allow something especially alluring into my home sanctuary. On the previous year's visit, I acquired a mesmerizing, though practical, stoop-shaped stone gray gargoyle. It has been nurturing my small-leaved sweetheart plant ever since. It was now nearly supper time, and I needed to decide on my purchase so I could get back to making my special dish for my sweetie, who would soon be returning from work. I tore myself away once more from the friendlier gargoyle and hurried over to the more practical of the two that I had narrowed down my choices to. This haggard gargoyle, bravely holding a small shelf upon its raised shoulders, drew me in. Besides looking endearing, it could actually support a little flower pot, or a large candle, or several small books even. It already felt familiar. This gargoyle's suffering reflected my own feelings from the time before I received my cancer diagnosis. Feelings of carrying the whole world on my shoulders. Do I want more of that heavy burden feeling in my life now? Do I want to surround myself with reminders of my heavy-hearted outlook on life? No, I was making changes in my life. I was learning to be more compassionate towards myself. I was fostering a more hopeful outlook for my future. Recoiling, I lunged towards the smiling gargoyle. The knowing look in its eyes spoke to me. I've been expecting you. Welcome. Only then I noticed that the hand cradling its face made the smile on the gargoyle's face. It was the long, slender, resolute fingers helped to hold its smile in place. I'll take this one, please. I turned to the watchful shopkeeper, handing her my selection. I took another look in the direction of Atlas-like gargoyle. You know, sometimes feeling good and happy takes a little effort. I smiled at her, pointing at the grinning gargoyle. And sometimes feeling that way needs a little help. She smiled wisely in return, carefully packaging my keepsake. I skipped nearly all the way home, as much to greet my sweetheart as from the joy of realizing that some things which may have served me well until then were not doing me much good anymore. My cancer journey was teaching me that. At that moment, in choosing the smiling gargoyle, I was choosing a different way in the world now. Isn't that wonderful? That's really, really good, Maggie. I really enjoyed that. Okay, so let's move on and do something different and come back to our stories. We got a couple more I want to read before we sign off tonight. But shall we move on to? I'll give a little bit of history about, or a little bit of opinion on self-publishing, and then I'm going to open up the questions. And we are getting a special presentation tonight from Shannon. Patricia will introduce her in a moment. And the rest of you who are in the webinar to present tonight, you can. Don't worry, you can ask a question, you can tell us a bit about yourself. I really want people to get used to being on webinars, because what you're going to learn from Patricia and I is that, I guess it's Patricia and me, is that a lot of writing is marketing. So 10% is actually coming up with your finished product, and that's what I'm going to talk about tonight with the self-publishing. But 90% is marketing, and a really good way to connect with people is when you offer services that I know Shannon's going to talk a bit about too. When you offer services to other people and start connecting with people from faraway places, because we have like Joseph on here tonight from New York, so make sure I get that right. And I believe Marla's from Texas, I'm not sure, but I think so. And so people are from really faraway places. So, and we couldn't do that. We couldn't have this heart-to-heart connection if it wasn't for webinars. So it's kind of nerve-wracking the first time you do it, but get used to it, because it's kind of fun after you get used to it. So self-publishing. So I want to keep the topic centered around writing tonight. And so I know some of you know some of this information and maybe all of this information, but I also know there's people with us tonight who don't know all of this information. So I'm just going to start. Patricia, if you want to interject anything or add anything, you'll just do that, of course.
Sure.
So an ISBN number. So that's the number that goes with your book no matter where it's being published around the world. It stands for International Standard Book Number. So one of the things that you need to be familiar with is that term, because when you get into self-publishing, they'll say, well, you'll have to get an ISBN number assignment, and you'll go, huh? If you don't know that term. Pretty easy to do. You type in your country and ISBN number, and a website will open, and you'll see who it is that you need to work with, and depending on your country. In Canada, we have a separate one than in the US, and it's $50. It's not a major deal, and filling out the form's really, really easy. You actually did that for us.
Yeah, actually in Canada it's free.
Was it free in Canada?
Yeah, it's free, and
Wow.
And they ask you how many you want in a row, so we specify the number, and no problem.
And so they were consecutively numbered, so they would go with our series.
Yeah.
You ordered that.
Yes,
so.
and there's a different number for an ebook, an audio book, a soft cover book, that sort of thing. So they do charge in the United States, but they don't charge in Canada.
Okay. And I have a PowerPoint that I'm going to turn into a PDF with all of the addresses, etc. So don't be worrying about that. It's just that I'm not going to get into all the details of websites and stuff tonight, but I do have that information for you. So another word you need to know is copyright. So people often ask, do I have to copyright my book? Well, in common law, in Canada and the US, as soon as you create a piece of work, you own the rights to that. It's copywritten. However, it gets tough to prove. So in the olden days, what we used to do is we would email ourselves a copy of snail mail ourselves a copy of whatever we'd written, sealed, and never open it. And nowadays, of course, we email it to ourselves. But it's still, you want to get it copywritten, even though you don't really have to, because one, it looks good on the book. And two, in the States, if you ever decide to take someone to court for stealing your works, if you haven't officially registered with the Copyright Office, you can't sue for money. It's interesting. Canada, you probably can, but you can't in the States. So, and copywriting, again, it's like $100, and I'll have it on the PDF where you do that. But it's in Canada, it's one place. In the US, it's another place. It's a simple form. You fill it out. Not a big deal. So I'm telling you this stuff because when you get to these stages, I don't want you doing what we did, going, oh my gracious, what do we do? Where do we go? Blah, blah, blah. It's so hard. I'm just confused.
Can I add to that?
Yes.
And that is that, no, I'll leave that to you.
I can prove that myself.
Yeah,
I'm
no
the
problem.
show. I don't need you to tell. Yeah, I got it.
Yeah. Anyway, I just wanted to mention that the ISBN number, whether you get a Canadian or a US one, works for both countries.
Yes.
Right? It works for the book. It belongs to that
book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
you don't need to get an extra one.
No, once you get it, that's it. You're done. One number. Just one number follows the book. So publishing rights. Now, what used to happen before the internet, before self-publishing was a huge deal and easy to do, was that you would sell the rights to publish your works to a publishing house, like a traditional publishing house. And they would own those rights. And depending on the contract that you signed, and it's a nice lengthy contract because I've done it, you're going to have a hard time getting those rights back ever. And sometimes you can negotiate them back, but I tried to negotiate them back for direct sales. Better than good, be great that I contractor sold my rights to Pelican down in the States, and they didn't want to have any part of it. They wanted to keep it. So not so easy to get back. You have, when you're self-publishing, almost everybody lets you keep the rights to your book. And I'm going to talk more about that in a minute. But so you always have the right to publish your book. You own those rights. But there's more about that I'll say in a minute. But check it out, because I can't say that everybody in the whole world, like every self-publishing company that lets you do something, is not going to try to get your rights. You always want to read the fine print. Make sure you keep the rights follow you and stay with the author. So that's important. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is the actual companies themselves, and they're called hybrid, H-Y-B-R-I-D, like ID, like a hybrid car, you know, multifunctional. There's different names for them. Patricia and I can never really think of which one's our favorite. So right now we're going with hybrid self-publishing companies. And what I mean by that are companies that offer a number of services. So they'll do everything from acquiring your ISBN, to getting your copyright, to helping you design the cover of your book, to formatting the content inside your book, to helping you write the copy for the back of your book, to putting your book up on Amazon.com and Barnes & Noble. Some will help you to put it into bookstores. Some will do the editing for you for quite a bit of money. And they offer various services. So you need to do some research. In fact, your homework tonight is going to be to research some self-publishing companies and look at the discrepancies and compare prices and stuff like that, and what you get and what you don't get. And I'm going to tell you why in a minute, because there's something that's really dear to me that I'm going to speak about to do with that. And leading into that is another name you're going to constantly hear in the self-publishing world is a company called Author Solutions. Now, Author Solutions is the biggest printing, self-publishing hybrid company in the US and maybe the world. I'm not really sure on that, but probably. So what Author Solutions does is it would work with a company like Patricia and me, because we're a publishing company, and say we started publishing your books. Well, what we could do is we could contract with Author Solutions to do the work. We become the in-between person, so it'd be like you, us, Author Solutions, and then we would take a cap. It takes a fee, right? So because, you know, we hooked you up, so we're going to get a fee. Author Solutions going to charge you for absolutely everything that they do for you, whether it's like designing your book cover, or helping you format the inside of your book, or putting you together in any way with anything like editing, whatever you need. And they're going to do that all separately. We don't have to do that. As a publishing house, we just have to bring you in, send you to Author Solutions, and they'll do that. Now, the reason I don't like that is now we have 3 fingers in the pie, right? 3 fingers in the pie means less money for you. So you always want to see who's in the pie whenever you're choosing a self-publishing company. Now, I'm not anti-self-publishing companies. I'm just really wanting you to know what to look for. I think we made a few mistakes when we started, and we, thank gracious, we always kept our rights, so we were able to correct the things that we weren't happy with. People treated us really well. I'm not bad-mouthing anybody. I'm just trying to make you aware of what you want to think about when you're choosing how you're going to publish your book. So Author Solutions is a name you need to know, and check that out. Now, here's an even better name for you to know. This one I want you to know, and it's Create Space. And it's really the word create and space, all one word. They usually capitalize the S. Now, that's Amazon.com's self-publishing arm. And what you can do is upload your PDF and your cover, and it will automatically go into the Amazon.com. Now, there's also options to go into Barnes & Noble. There's also an option to get it into bookstores. And when you're going into bookstores, so this is going to be confusing when you start out too, there's another company called Ingram Books. Now remember, I'm going to give you a PDF of all this, so you don't have to memorize it. But there's another company called Ingram Books. And what Ingram Books does is it does the take them to the bookstore arm of Amazon. And it's the largest book distribution company probably in the world. So you'll hear that term all the time. So the neat thing about Create Space is there's a bit of a learning curve when you're getting your PDF uploaded, and we actually had someone else do it. So I'm just in the process of learning it myself. So I called Create Space the other day and I asked them some questions, and I said, okay, I'm a new author, for instance, and I want to put my book up to Create Space and I don't have a cover. What would you do for me? They said, for a fee, we'll design your cover and put it up. So, and it was a reasonable fee. And I got particularly excited when I said, what if I can't figure out how to format my book? Because it's a little bit tricky. You got to get the pages right and the margins right, and it's user friendly, but you got to figure it out. So I said, what would happen if I was just too nervous to do that? And they said, well, we will do it for you for $400.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was an amazing price. That was a really good price, because it'll probably take you a week to learn it. If your time's worth, more than $400 a week, better to pay those guys. Mind you, if you're writing a lot of books, you'll want to figure out how to do it like I do, because I read a lot of ebooks, because you can put ebooks or anything up. It doesn't have to be a full book. Anyway, so you want to know that name, Create Space. That's your way to self-publishing. That's going to give you the most control, and they're pretty decent with their shares of what they pay. Now, another tip I want to give you is Fiverr.com, and I'm going to get you to talk about that while I have mouthful of water.
Fiverr.com is it's actually a great source. I don't know if any of you have worked with it, but they have artists that will do covers for you. They have editors. They have everything that you need for a book. They can provide it for a fee. And the reason why it's called Fiverr is because it was supposed to be $5 per a certain amount of time. Now, some people, if they have the idea already of what they want to see in their cover, and they go on and they choose a graphic artist, and they're very clear in their instructions, you could probably get your cover design for very cheap, like
probably
$15 or $20.
Yeah, depends on the artist that you're working with.
Yeah, but just be careful with that also, because it's in increments. So you might think, oh, it's only going to cost $200 to get my book edited. Well, yeah, that might be like per page or per 2 pages. You know what I mean? Like
you have to double check everything.
Really double check and see what the end cost will be.
But people we know who've used Fiverr.com have all been happy. I haven't actually used them because I always get confused about who I want to use, and I often create my own. Well, I create my own art cover, and then we work with this is another thing I want to talk to you about, and this is really important. It's something you're going to have to think about. Is it's fine to get it up on Amazon.com, and Create Space will send out soft covers and ebooks, and make it available on Kindle. So it's a really good way to distribute your book. However, if you're planning on speaking like we do, we can take books with us, and books are not easy to ship in terms of cost, especially in Canada. We have to pay a lot more for shipping than you do down in the States. But the further you are away from your printer, obviously, the more it's going to cost. So what we do is we work with a local print house, and this print house just prints out our books. We negotiate the price that we pay per book, and we pick them up in groups of 50, 100, whatever it is, 300, whatever it is we need at that time. And we have local printer to work with, and it's not hard. You just go through the phone book, or I guess we don't go through phone books anymore. You go online, find a printer who prints books, and negotiate. Go see what kind of books they've printed, look at the quality, and get a good relationship with the printer so that you can get your books and have them there to sell. Now, on the other flip side of that is that you have to buy a lot of books to get a decent price, because they're not going to set up the machines to print 10 books and give it to you with a 50% discount from your retail, suggested retail. So you have to be thinking about carrying a few books with you. And we find the best price. We don't want to order under 300 usually, right?
Yeah, 300 is
That's
good.
Yeah. I mean, we have an emergency order just 100 for something to get them done quickly, but 300 is pretty much what you're looking at. But then you get a good price. And you'll have to make sure you store them properly and don't let any kind of dampness or moss or anything get near them. So, but that's an option. And if you're speaking, you want to be able to print your own books. Now, do we have any questions on what we've said so far?
Yes, we do. From Shannon, she says, have you had any connections with printing from China?
No, I haven't had any connections. Now, what comes to mind when you ask that is that you still have to get them to Canada. So if you were selling your books in China, then you'd have to figure out how you're going to ship them over, I guess, in containers. So no, that's not a step. We actually found a really good publishing house here in Canada, like locally, that works really, really well with us. And that's another thing. If you guys ever want to help with anything that we know about, just pick up the phone and tell us, and we'll connect you with people and help you with that. But Shannon, is there a reason? Because you're thinking it would be cheaper? Is that why you asked that question?
Shannon wants to sell a lot of books.
Okay. Well, yeah.
No, I didn't say that. I said that for her.
Yeah.
She didn't write that in, but
I don't blame her.
actually, in book 2, in the Heart Mind Wisdom Collection, book 2, we have an author from China.
We do.
And so she's living right in Canada right now, but she would like to do something with that over there. So she would have the book printed in China while she's selling in China. So that's the whole point. And that's why Amazon is so popular, is because depending on where the book is sold, they have printing houses there that will print for them. Right. So they have England. I think one of them is England, one is the United States, one is Australia. So that's how they get their prices down. And of course, the shipping is a lot better that way.
Well, you're not stocking. They print on demand. That's what it's called, print on demand, right? They print the book, they ship it out, and in a while you get your money. And it's not a long wait with them. It depends on whether or not you're setting up automatic bank payments, or if you're asking for checks and etc. But that's what I think we should make their research. Everybody should research Create Space.
Yeah, but one of the things,
it's a really good thing to know.
It's good. Yeah. One of the things that is important to us, and this is a personal thing, is that we like to work with people that are local, because we like to give the job to local people.
Well, that's
so true. So even though that might cost us a little bit more money, still, we're a medium or small company, so we want to support other small companies. So that's just us. So if you want to, like Shannon just said that she knows some people that are ordering in bulk written materials from China. So if that works for them, it's fine.
You need a lot, Shannon.
And
make sure you get
the main thing when you're dealing with China, we know this for all kinds of different items, and that is the quality, because there's nothing worse than opening a book that is not good quality, that is not printed on good paper, that the margins aren't right, and that sort of thing. So I would be very, very careful. And if you're dealing with a local printer, then they send you a sample before they print, the 300 books. So you can look at it, you can make any revisions that you want, and then you send it back to them and they'll go ahead and print it.
Right. Yeah. Any other questions come in? I see some hands there.
Why would you not print on demand through Amazon?
You would print on demand. Who asked me that?
Maggie,
you would print on demand. That Create Space is Amazon.com. That's their self-publishing arm. They do print on demand, and you would print on demand. The reason you would get your own supply of books, that you'd want to have your own supply of books, is if you're speaking locally. If you're traveling to China, you're not probably taking them in a suitcase, although you could. But if you're speaking locally and you're driving there, or like we do a lot of local speaking. So one of the best things about having your own book, or in this case we have 3 and others that we've written too, but 3 at Heartmind, is that you sell your book. So even as a new speaker, you're often speaking for free. You get invited in, or you suggest that they invite you in, and you speak for 20 minutes or half an hour when you're first starting out, and everyone will take you because you're interesting, but they don't pay you. So how you make your money is you sell things from the back room, and one of the best things to sell from the back room, one of the easiest, is books. And what's fun about that one of someone just taught us locally, was that make sure whatever you're speaking about is on the same topic as your book. Because if you stand up to teach people about how to change a tire and then think they're going home with your Heart Mind Wisdom book, probably not going to happen. So you want to keep your talk and your book in the same genre, and get people excited about wanting to take your wisdom home with them. And then you're speaking to 100 people and 50 people walk out with your book. It's not a bad 20 minutes work, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now Shannon is asking about protecting your material when you're working with Fiverr before copywriting.
It's copywritten the second you produce it. So they're trying to sell you a product. So you can check and see if they have contracts if you're worried about that. You can ask to check with some people who've already published with them to protect yourself. That's an excellent question. But legally, you really are protected. So if you're sending them something that you have proof that you've written, so you have an email, You could go do the same thing we used to do, and that was really was seriously, we'd print it out and we would put it in an envelope and we would seal it and mail it to ourselves, snail mail, and never open it. Then you always have proof of your copyright, right? So if it ever got challenged, for in the US, it won't do anybody any good because you can't go for a dollar amount. And you know, don't be surprised. Like, we have a friend named Brock Tully who publishes some great books. He's a wonderful person. We'll probably have him on to speak to you one night. But he had people selling his book around the world who found it in, you know, Amazon.com, started producing it and just selling it. And somehow he found out, he got word of it, and they eventually sent him a little check. And, you know, but what's he going to do? It was in a different country, and he wasn't going there to sue them and start a law court. So you have to keep your eyes open. It's a new world, but, you know, we can't go ahead and fear. We go ahead and do the best that we can, and you know, deal with things if they come up.
Yeah. So Maggie has a question,
Yes.
and it said, for speakers' copies, is it less expensive to print locally or through Amazon Print on Demand? So locally. So that's the word, is locally.
Yeah.
Locally, if you have it, and there's nothing better, and I know that we're all going to digital copies and this sort of thing, but there's nothing better than, you know, having a book that a person can hold in their hands and they will take it. I mean, if it's there, they will take it. Of course, you can suggest that they go to Amazon, or you can have Amazon in the back, you know, in the back room. You can have a computer and you can order through Amazon or whatever, take their information. But it's, as far as sales are concerned, if you have the book with you, then that's the easiest way to make a sale.
And you make the most money. So if you ordered in at a level where you're making 50% on your books, right? You're getting 50% on every book you sell. That's not going to happen through Amazon. You're going to get to 70% that we get on Create Space, right? So, but for me, it's, you want to reach all the markets everywhere you can and maximize your profits when you can. So you want to have them in print with you for when you're speaking locally. You want to make it available to someone living in China, England, the US, Canada. You don't care where they are. That's where, you know, they can get your soft cover book that way, and their ebook. And another thing to think about when you're self-publishing is in your ebooks, you want to be able to sell those from your website so that it's all your money, as opposed to just, you know, have it up on Amazon and also be able to sell it from your website. Now, they do have different things that they play with in terms of promotion, but whether or not they're going to have exclusive rights for different things. So that's your homework this week. You're going to research Create Space, and you're going to drive me crazy with questions, and you're going to drive them crazy with questions, because if you phone them or send them an email, they call you back and they answer every one of your questions. They're really, really good that way, and they weren't that way originally. Originally, it was pretty tough to talk to them, but they've changed it totally now, so like they're super user-friendly, so there's no reason that you can't self-publish. Now, I don't want to send you away from self-publishing houses, but you don't need them. You need people to help you with different steps, but you don't need them to do everything for you. And this brings me to a slide that I'm going to try to put up because it's pretty important to me. This is my kind of beat the band problem out there. So I want you to be aware of this. So hold on. I think this is the right button. If I mess something up, don't hate me. I want to show you this. Okay. Can you see that? Can somebody type in if you can see this thing that says author royalties, Amazon Create Space?
Yes, because
okay.
I can see it.
Oh, you can see it. Okay, there. I'm not that bright. Okay, this is really important. Book royalties is the money that you earn when a book sells. Now, it's different than retail. If you have the book in your hands and you sell it, then you're going to make whatever profit. It is different than what you paid for your book. But when you get a royalty check, it's based on sales that have been made through a library such as Amazon.com or through a hybrid publishing company. Now, when we started, you'll see a name on the right there called Balboa Press. Now, Balboa Press is one of those hybrid publishing companies that goes through Author Solutions. That means there's 3 hands in the pie. Now, let's look at what happens to the royalties. So we paid for that service. It was, how much did we pay for the first book?
I think it was almost $4,000.
For $4,000 for the first book. Then they got it up on Amazon. They sent us copies. They got it into Barnes & Noble. They made it available in the catalogs, and they put it into the Balboa Press online store. All really nice. We were confused, weren't really sure what we were doing. And this wasn't with Heart Mind Wisdom. This was with Kindness Ambassador. It was the book before that we were self-publishing. And what happened was when we got our royalty checks, we started to try to catch on. So I gave you this example. These are actually screenshots that I've taken off of these two websites. So I'm not making this stuff up. You can go and look this up exactly the same way I did. So with Balboa Press, in their library or on Amazon.com or Barnes & Noble, all the online stores, when they would sell a book, a softcover book, we would make $1.60 when our book was $15.95. Obviously, that's going to change because it's a 10%. So ours is $19.95. So we would make $1.90, $1.99, right? So that's what you get, 10%. Now let's go back to Create Space, which you guys are all going to research this week so that you know. Here's the same book at $15.95. Now I calculated this based on their little calculate how much your book will cost and how much you'll make calculator they have on there, their royalty calculator. Now that same book, when they sell it on Amazon.com, which will be the same as on Create Space, I couldn't find the exact name matches up, so I just had to use what I could find. You make $5.72. See any difference? It's huge, right? So your difference is $4.12. So if you go through Create Space and either pay them, you know, the $400 to help you set it up, or get the cover design from Fiverr and get them to help you set it up, because I think they also do interiors of books. That's going to be the turnaround. So you're going to make $4 more per book when it sells in an online store. You just have to do the math. But what happens is, because new authors don't know about Create Space, and it never used to be as friendly as it is now, and because there's so many fancy hybrid companies out there that are promising you the world, and because we get overwhelmed by terms like get your own ISBN and what's a copyright and blah, 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 we get our heads all go crazy, and all we want to do is write stories. So we go to these companies, and though we have our rights, we end up splitting our profits, our royalties. So really do your research, and if you're in doubt, check with people who are published and find out what's happening with their royalties, and well, just learn about Create Space, and then you won't have this problem. Are we back?
We're back.
We're back. Any questions?
No questions. Okay, so
it's time for our presenter.
Yeah.
Okay. Shannon's coming on first, and Patricia's going to introduce her. You're going to type in and see if she's ready. Shannon, you ready?
Shannon has her hand up.
Okay.
So we're going to invite her as a speaker.
Yes. Well, she should show up. Did she show up? Shannon, where are you? Did you click on her?
Yeah.
Is she down further, maybe?
No, I did. That's good.
Why isn't she showing up? And I don't have her on my screen either. Oh, there we go. I'll try. I'll put her on. Maybe I've got to do it. Request one. Oh, we've only got one correct request over here. Yeah.
Go on view.
Where's you? Well, there you're thinking now. There's Shannon. Okay, here we go. Invite as a speaker. Here you come, Shannon. We're figuring it out. Little things are circling around. We have practiced this, but it's always more nerve-wracking the first time you do it live.
Okay, so let me, well, you know what? I'm going to start with,
why is she not up here?
Okay. Shannon, anything coming up on your screen as to what's happening? Do you have your camera on?
Shannon, is your camera on? So she's not coming up. Oh no, she doesn't. It says invite as a speaker, so it's circled. What's this going on now? Sorry, guys. Please be patient. I don't know why she's not coming on.
Oh.
Yeah, it's weird. You see, we read that this can be tricky. I don't. Oh, here. Let's see what's going on up here. We got this person. Invite people. Let's try that. Share the permanent link bookmark. Okay.
That's Google Plus. It's something different.
Okay. No, I think that it came up here before. I don't know why she's not coming up. How come this worked for us before? Control room. Let's try that. Be patient, you guys. We're trying. Well, that's too bad. Why are we not able to figure this out?
Oh yeah. So Shannon, log into your Gmail account.
Oh, she's not in her Gmail account? Yeah, you have to be in your Gmail account. Is anybody logged into the Gmail account while we wait for Shannon, or you think is she getting in there? I'm supposed to.
Okay, so basically, normally what happens is, Shannon, that you would, it would take you to log into Gmail, and you would log into your account, and then it would bring you to Google Hangouts, and it's like a little quotation mark in green. Have you seen that? No.
Well, that's weird because we had no trouble, but it switched us right into Google. So did Shannon sign into the webinar via Gmail?
She said she'll log in again.
Okay, so Shannon will be a minute. So who's in there that we know has got a Gmail account? Who wants to speak who has a Gmail account?
Marla, do you want to go? You can request to speak.
Is Marla coming on? Did she request to speak?
Not yet.
Okay, so if you want to come on the screen, you have to push the button that says request to speak. This is supposed to be a really simple system that worked like a piece of cake when we did it. Invite people. Let's see if it's us. Share this permanent link. Okay.
Okay, hold on. We got a second review now.
From
okay,
who?
Marla is asking. So do you want to go back to
okay.
You're in Google.
Okay.
So go back to webinar.
Webinar. At the control room. What do you want me to do?
And go to the chat room. Yeah, view.
Okie dokie. Let's try this.
Let's try Marla.
Marla, invite as a speaker. Marla, hopefully this is going to work. Everybody's dying to see what you guys look like now. Let's start circling. Okay, we're circling. And it should switch to you, Marla. But we didn't do the questions yet. No, it's not working. That's weird. This was so easy for us last time. Are you sure I shouldn't hit this button?
Which one would you like to hit?
This one. I don't know. Sure. I have no idea what's going on here.
Okay, so it looks like we have technical difficulties.
I hate that. I was so looking forward to this.
Okay, the page is frozen right now. Okay, so let's see if I can work on it in the background, and maybe you want to read another one of the stories that came in.
Works
do you
out.
have another one?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Okay, back to story time. Get your milk and cookies. This is actually from Marla. So Marla and Patricia are trying to figure out how to get rid of me and get Marla up here instead of me. This is very good. This is like an excellent scene too. So I'm really pleased with Marla's work. No, I can't do this. I can't. The half-empty parking lot echoed my mother's frantic cry as we stood beside my car. The fear in her voice pierced my ears and broken heart simultaneously. The two of us had just received the devastating news that Mom had breast cancer. Her body and voice trembled at the same rapid rate as her repetitive words. Oh God, no, I just can't do this. My mother was having a panic attack. I tried to get control of the situation by assisting her with breathing techniques that I'd learned as a labor and delivery nurse. Just breathe, Mom, in through your nose, out through your mouth, like this. While demonstrating what I thought was an effective method for calming her, I could see that Mom was increasingly losing control. Unable to focus, she was becoming more inconsolable. Recalling a scene from the sitcom Laverne and Shirley, I pictured us slapping one another in a bid to bring both of us back to our senses. Though the comic relief might have helped, I instead held Mom's petite body tight in my arms and lulled her with loving, shushing sounds. Gently rocking her in a way that mimicked how she soothed a younger me and her grandchildren, Mom calmed down right away. It had to have been more than my shushing that tranquilized that moment, for there was no denying that the Holy Spirit was present. As her beautiful hazel eyes met mine, I could see that she was now looking at me instead of through me. In a gentle voice, I said, "You're all right, Mom. You can do this." You can't do this alone. I mean, you're right, Mom. You can't do this alone. But with God, you can. He does not intend for you to do this all by yourself. Smiling, I paused before finishing with, remember your favorite scripture. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. It is time to apply and live what you have always believed. My mother's demeanor became more peaceful as she said, you're right, honey. You're right. I'm just so scared. I know, Mama. It's going to be okay, I assured her as the two of us hugged, sealing the deal that we were both on the same page regarding our belief-fueled optimism. Once in the car, we wiped away our tears and blew our noses. Afterward, my mother flipped down the sun visor, rubbed off the smudged mascara from under her eyes, and blended the tear stains in her makeup. While searching her purse for lipstick, she said, let's get a Frosty at Wendy's and then head over to St. Matthew's Chapel, okay? And so began our routine of using faith, makeup, and comfort food to buffer the fear of cancer. Isn't that a lovely story? I just love that story. You guys have any luck? Oh, I saw her. There she is. You did it. These guys did it.
I made it.
Hi.
I think there was just a lag.
Hello.
There was just a lag. Okay.
Okay, so now you have the controls over there.
Okay. So what are we doing? Do you remember? I want to go here.
Okay, so this is the way it's working. This is, I mean, you might have to put your sunglasses
They're
on.
both there now.
Yeah, I know. I put them all on.
So who's coming on, Shannon?
Shannon, can you speak? Let's see if we can hear you.
I haven't put her on yet.
See you guys.
Put her on.
I can see you both.
Has she got her microphone on?
Is your microphone on?
Okay, yeah, I got it. I know what I got to do. Hold on. I just
Yeah.
got to get the button to work. There's this stupid thing. I can see her. I just
Can
got
you hear
to
me?
get to present to everyone. Ta-da!
Hey, hi everyone. Can you hear me?
You have to unmute your microphone.
Is your microphone muted? Little at the top of your screen, is there? Can you see your microphone?
Yeah,
It shouldn't be red.
Can you hear me?
Hmm.
It's unmuted.
Is mine unmuted?
Can you hear me?
What you saying?
Can you hear me?
Okay, no, it's okay. We're all learning. That's okay. We can't hear you. No, it's for some reason we're getting dialogue. Unmute. It's unmuted.
It's unmuted.
Why does this thing
Let's
keep
put
coming in?
settings say voice.
Strange. You're not muted here. You should be speaking. Have you got your microphone muted?
No, I don't have my microphone muted.
No, she's on.
Can other people hear her?
Where's me?
Okay, so isn't that great? You guys can hear her. Oceana says we hear her and we don't. Isn't that interesting?
I can see you both and I can hear
We
you.
can't hear you, which is really
You can't hear me at all?
going live. Try again.
Okay. Anything yet?
No. This is weird.
Crazy.
Well, Shannon, since they can hear you, maybe you can do a really nice presentation that we'll hear later.
Yeah, you go ahead and talk to everybody. We'll watch the broadcast.
Go back to
Okay. Hi, everyone. If anybody has any questions or anything, feel free to put it in the feedback. I can hear them, but they can't obviously hear me or talking to you. So far, it's been a great course for everybody, including me. Has everybody else found that?
I get back to where I was.
I don't know.
Hello?
Can everybody hear me now?
Everybody can hear except for
So see,
Well, it's interesting. I don't know if I can actually see what the chats are. I guess the questions perhaps may
That's weird.
go to the group, or may go back. I'm not sure. Anyway, I was just going to quickly just talk in terms of for myself, in that the writing that I've done so far. I'm in the process of a book. That's something that's next on the calendar for me. And so far right now, it's been writing articles in my area of expertise and health and wellness. I don't know if they got a chance to introduce me or not, but one of the things I've been fortunate to do is to having the privilege of living and traveling internationally and working with experience. You know, I've had experienced many gems in life, and working with people to do collaborative groups of writing together. So it hasn't been a book, but it's been for articles, and it's been in the health and wellness area, something I'm pretty passionate about, and I have my own practice in the business with that. And by sharing with other people, we have produced information for the public, which is quite exciting. And it also just gives a chance for somebody else to connect to my work, and then also me to connect to their work. So it's one way for us to sort of share information and get it out to other people. There's a real, all of a sudden, a big. Are you guys connected still? Okay. So that's been really good for just linking up. And then also offering these, I've been invited because of my ability to have lived internationally, and I've been able to get up and speak about some of the areas that I've been expertise at, and also then have other people do joint projects in the writing and sharing. It's a real echo, so I'm not sure what's going on. Can you guys, Patricia and Joyce, can you hear me? No? I'm not sure I'm being heard right now. Does anybody else hear me right now?
We can hear you.
You can hear me, but is anybody else hearing me?
Okay, is everybody hearing her, Patricia? Can you see the chat?
I can't see the I can't see anybody else's chat.
This is working so well.
Maybe you guys want to take it over again just to make sure people are still
You know what we're going to do? Yeah, we want to remove everybody. So we'll take back over, and then we're going to have a result with Mara and Shannon and Joseph. And Joseph, we'll do it again next week because this is it's frustrating for people because I know they want to hear what you have to say.
I'm sure it was wonderful, Shannon.
There's always, we tested it out. It was a piece of cake. It was no problem. And then the minute you go live, it's like publishing for the first time.
There is an echo because
yeah. Okay, so we're going to put our proper mic and we're going to take you off. And thank you. It's nice to see your smiling face.
Thank you.
Okay, so how do we go back to us now? Okay. I don't know what I'm doing anymore, Patricia. No, we don't want that. This is so funny. I'm told. Oh, you've got it. So you had to change it. Okay, so we're back.
We're back on mine.
I'm still seeing.
So you have to go down.
It's us though. Who are you seeing? Are you seeing me?
I see you.
Let's just do this.
Back
to Broncos.
Shannon's still up.
She's still up too.
On yours.
Yeah. Well, I've got to take her down.
Yeah.
But I want to put the microphone on first.
Okay.
As soon as I remember, can you put the microphone on? Okay, let's just.
Test out
I have an option of taking her down. Maybe I do. Just a minute. There we go. You should be. Where's the Shannon?
That one. Yeah.
Hi, Shannon.
Okay.
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 Still Shannon.
I'm still
Who
on
likes her? Shannon, you're going to have to mute your mic or it's going to keep going back to you.
Okay.
Oh, you have to mute your mic. There you go. Well, that was disappointing. Not the end of the world, but disappointing. So everybody's still alive? Any more questions?
So all it means is that we have to do a rehearsal with other people, not just
with our actual people.
Yeah.
With the actual guests we're going to have. So we'll be phoning Maggie and Marla and Shannon and Oceana and Joseph. So plan on getting invited to a practice run for next week, you guys. I'll send out an email and give you a choice of times and see which ones work best for you. Patricia won't be with us next week unless she's on a split screen. I don't know if we want to try something technical again with our new program. So I want to read to you before I take any questions part of Gail Frost's story. Do you want? We haven't told the true and the false things, so we'll save those
No,
for
because
next week.
we wanted them to
We'll save them for
speak,
next week.
So, yeah.
Okay, so I'll just read you a little bit of a story that Gail Frost has started about her life, and it's called Betrayal. So I can't read the whole thing because it's too long for one reading, but I'm going to get you interested in it, and as Gail produces more, she'll share more and we'll read more. So, I wondered what was happening as the chest pains crushed my chest. I drove as fast as I could along the mountain highway. It was 5 a.m. and the hospital was 45 minutes away. I was in great health, so what was this? What was this? I could not think. Had to focus on getting there and hoping I did not die on the way. For a while now, I had just not been myself. The kids were grown and gone from home, and yet something did not feel right. What was happening? Was I losing my mind? Finally, the emergency area was in sight. I opened the door of the truck and fell out clinging to my chest. Suddenly there was a rush of people around me. Everything had happened so fast. Where was this? And yet I realized as I came to consciousness, the machines around me were overwhelming. The doctors were talking and nurses moving around. I was hooked up to so many things. The doctors seemed perplexed and continued to ask about the symptoms. I answered as best I could. Then there was my friend of 25 years standing by my bed, shaking his head. What was happening? I definitely had been struggling with many things lately. The doctors were back to talk with us. They told me that I had all the symptoms of fatal heart failure, but physically they found my heart to be fine. It was psychosomatic, they said, a symptom of fact that I had to deal with something I had buried deep inside me. They suggested that I go away for a period of time and try and sort out my emotions. What were they talking about, I wondered. For 2 years now, we'd been living in Harrison Mills in the mountain, where it was so beautiful and peaceful. I'd always loved nature and enjoyed my time walking with my 2 little Maltese dogs in the beautiful mountains. I liked to garden and loved the fact that I could clean our little house completely in less than 10 minutes. However, I was isolated, and I had begun to feel restless, like I was missing something. My trip to the hospital in the early hours of the morning had been the catalyst to the fact that we had to try and figure out what was really going on. So she's talking about a scene. Thank you, Gail. That's very good. With her husband, and they have to figure out at that point it was her husband. I think that she's single now, and but she was holding so much emotion inside that she was actually starting to have panic attacks that were acting like heart attacks. So that's 2 stories tonight about panic attacks, and Shannon would have lots to help with that, it sounds like, and I guess probably everybody online would. Any questions?
No. Some people are leaving because it's already almost 8 o'clock. So we've gone a full hour, which we usually take about only 45 minutes.
Okay.
So we've gone over.
Okay.
Sorry for the technical difficulties. Hopefully we can set it up for. We have another way of doing it.
We have other tricks, yeah.
So we will try for next week. And I'm going to be in Florida next week. So if I don't see you, I'll see you again the following week. And maybe we'll have a split screen. I don't know.
We're going to do our best.
It.
Anyways,
Thank
make sure
you
you
so much.
research creates space and have a great week. Talk soon. Bye.